Hey there, I'm author Sarah A. Chrisman, and today I've got something a little bit different for you. So, I recently did a long distance book talk with my friend who's all the way in France, and we were discussing one of her favorite books by Balzac. So, you get to hear what we thought of it. Like I said, it's one of her favorites, and I quite enjoyed it, and it was a fun conversation, so I hope you enjoy it.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
So, for anyone watching, today I'm meeting with my friend Laetitia, who
Hello.
who is very sweet and she makes beautiful artwork. And we read Balzac together. We read one of Balzac's classics, and I am happy to be here talking with her today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to talk
Of course,
about
of
a
course.
great author and a great book that most
Oh,
people wouldn't know.
yeah, yeah, and it's good to introduce more people to. And Leticia, you have studied Balzac a lot, I think. Could you tell us
Yeah,
a
but
bit?
for me, so it's not for school. I'm just going to say right away, I'm not a specialist of Balzac. I didn't study him in university or any of that. I'm
Uh-huh.
just a passionate reader and I love past centuries, mainly the 18th, but he is in the first half of the 19th, so I'm interested in this period too. And so yes, I'm passionate by his
Uh-huh.
book and his world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about his life? Um,
Well, he was a writer, obviously, who creates something a bit new in literature with his entire work, which is all connected together. So it's something which has never been done before him and will be a lot imitated after him, which is he has written like Comédie Humaine, which is a all his novels, text, short stories, which are all in the same, I don't know how you call that, but they're all connected. It's the same
uh-huh.
characters you
The
will
same
see in
world.
all, yeah, the same world. There's a giant world. They are all
Yeah.
connected together, but it's not necessarily chronological. So you can, this novel, you can pick it and you will read another one, which will take place 20 years before. Another one will be 5 years later. Uh, yes, he has 500 main characters, which is a lot. How many characters do you have in your own series?
Oh, let's
Main
see.
characters.
Uh-huh. Main characters. So there are Doc and Kitty, and then Addie and Jacob. Addie's brother Ken and his sweetheart Felix. And then there's Sophie, and there is McCoy, of course.
Yes, yes.
So about 10, about
And
10.
Silas too? Did you count Silas?
Yes, Silas.
Yeah,
Yes, Silas, of
Silas. Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, around
Yeah.
10. I was thinking it would be that. But imagine
Yeah.
500, like 500 who he has to remember everything. And you said you
Yeah.
had a notebook to keep track of
Yeah.
specificity of your own characters. So I was
Yeah.
wondering, what did he have to remember all the details of their hair when they were born, their
Right.
life, and so I plan to go to his house later this year, and I think they have explanation on that in his museum house in Paris because
Uh-huh.
it's just blown my mind that he could keep track, and he has 3,000 characters in total. It's not the all characters; like there are many more. So
That's more than a city.
yeah, yeah, that's the fascinating thing. So here, for example, if someone starts with this novel, they are going to be introduced to a lot of characters,
Uh-huh.
but a lot of things you will not understand them because you are not familiar with the little stories, the little
Hmm.
things, and all of those details you will see them in other novels. So it
Yeah.
just keeps being better and better as you read
Uh-huh.
the other novels because you will discover the little stories you didn't know in the foreground. Here they were in the background, if you will. So that's the most magical thing actually in his work. One novel is nice, but if you read many more, you will understand truly what he has created.
Yeah. It's a little bit like jumping into the middle of a soap opera.
Yes, but it's like you have spin-off thing, and it's all
Hmm.
yes, little stories for. And I read it when I was a teenager. The first part, I read it again last autumn to rediscover it really, and since then I read many other of his books. And when we reread it together this summer, I've read many others, and now I'm familiar with every little stories he's mentioning. I was not familiar with that last autumn, which make it
Uh-huh.
so nice. I mean, it's suddenly I say, oh yes, I've heard about you in this one, and I know what he's talking about here.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So since this was the first time I'd read this one, it was a little confusing at first to just jump right in.
Yes.
Yes, here in America, we say jumping in the deep end of the swimming pool.
Yes.
Yes, but when I stuck with it, then I sort of got the hang of it, and so then I started to understand these characters, and you helped a lot because you had such a background in them. And
Was it your first Balzac? I wasn't sure about that.
I think back in school when I was studying French, I read excerpts from it, but
Yeah,
not
yeah,
his whole books.
yeah.
Um, we read more from Dumas and those
Mm.
other authors. Um, a lot of Sartre we wound up
Yeah.
reading.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And La Close we read, but limited Balzac. So it was fun to get to read him uh, in in a total book for the first time as someone more mature who can appreciate him more instead of for school. No matter if your teacher gives you the best book in the world, it's still for school, and you're still saying, I have to read this.
Yeah, and Balzac more than any other authors. In
Uh,
France, you can't do your school without having Balzac
uh,
in on your path. He's going to be there, and if you
uh,
don't like your teacher, which was my case, you link Balzac to your teacher and to your homeworks, and it's just
uh,
spoil everything. And Balzac, he would have hated learning about himself at school because he was not a good student. He would have never read his own books. So it's just a shame because you can really start to enjoy him and understand him later in life. There's
yeah.
no way as a teenager you can get all his jokes, all these little descriptions, which are so funny, the more serious descriptions too. And the humor mainly. When I was reading him as a teenager, I never laughed at all. I was never not even smiling. And when you read this one, I had laughed so much. I mean, this
Uh,
one, there's so many good dialogues. They are so well written.
well, I think for some of his jokes, you do have to be a little more mature to understand the jokes
Yeah.
because they're slightly mature, and even some of them that a teenager might understand, an adult can appreciate even more. Like when he keeps saying that Clotilde looks like a stick of asparagus.
Yeah.
And he keeps making fun of how skinny this one character is. And I think when women are a little older, we can see how, because we've heard how catty women can be. We've heard how critical women can be of other
Yeah.
women. And so we read that in his work and we're like, I have heard people talking like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All the competition between women, we will
Yes.
talk about the letters probably, but the
Yeah.
Madame de Maufrigneuse, when she said that Lucien never wrote such letters to the other one, she had the best
Right.
letters.
Yes, yes. So for anyone watching who hasn't read this my version I read it in English because my French is rusty, but my version, the title is A Harlot High and Low. Letitia's version has a different title. So
Yes.
yeah,
Splendeur et misère des courtisanes. So, unfortunately, it's the first thing we can say right away. The
yeah.
translation in English is awful, right? Completely. It's just a choice. Like they
Hmm.
choose the short title, which
Hmm.
people will look quickly. It's just stay nice and narrow on the page. And
Uh-huh.
this is not loyal to Balzac at all. I'm
Yeah.
just angry already there because it's splendor and misère and high and low. It's not they're not the same words. They don't mean the same things. So
Yeah, yeah. Splendors and Miseries is so much more evocative. It paints these pictures
yeah.
in your head. It,
Splendor is like you imagine a castle, you have the
yeah,
light and the diamonds, and high you have nothing. You just don't know
yeah,
what it is even.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
silks and I even think of sort of a more almost oriental splendor
Mm.
with all of
Yeah.
the comfortable furniture that you recline on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, But anyhow, and so the basic plot is that at first we meet these two lovers. There's Esther and Lucian. And Esther is a former prostitute, and Lucian is a romantic poet. and they are being helped and manipulated by this very interesting sort of criminal mastermind called Carlos Herrera, who has a lot of different names throughout the book. And at first, you don't really know what's going on with him. You just know he's kind of scary and that Esther is very intimidated by him. And then as the book goes on, you find out more and more about his criminal mastermind. And by about halfway through, well, a little more, a little less than halfway through the book, he was starting to remind me of his relationship with Lucian was reminding me of the relationship between Pip and his convict in Great Expectations in Dickens.
Forgot a bit the beginning. You see, I should have reread
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you've read Great
But it's just a
Expectations?
short, yeah, but it's a really short moment from the book.
Ah, so in Great Expectations, what happens is that in the early part, a short
Yeah.
moment, Pip helps this escaped convict.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then later through the book, he's being sponsored by this rich patron who he
Okay.
assumes is Miss Havisham, who's this old
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lady. But about two-thirds through the book, you find out that actually the one who's been paying for his education, paying for his clothes, paying to make him a gentleman is this convict who he had
I
helped.
forgot that, you see. I should have
Yeah.
reread that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the when he meets the convict and all this comes out, the convict tells him that he was doing it because he wanted to live through Pip's experiences. He
Oh my
wanted to,
goodness, you
yeah,
copied everything.
yeah.
Dickens, you copied everything. That's
And
interesting. Okay.
yeah, and so to me it was similar to the situation with a little bit, a
A
little
little
bit.
bit. Yeah, not completely. Yeah.
Not
Okay.
exactly, not exactly, but there were some echoes. There were some
Mm-hmm.
things that
Yeah.
reminded me of that. And then I don't want to spoil the story too much for someone who hasn't read it because there are a lot of surprises and twists and
Yes.
turns. But as we follow these characters, we get to go down into the prisons in France and meet these sort of undercover police government agents, and then we get to see them interrogating prisoners, and we get to go into the bedrooms of duchesses, and so the splendors and the miseries of life in Balzac's imaginings. And so I found it a really awesome story. But there were some translation issues we discovered.
Yeah, there were. I didn't compare with the one online for everything, but
Uh-huh.
there were, which
Yeah.
is yeah. Yeah. Reading the title, you could expect mistakes in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. I think the biggest one we found was when a character is writing a note and she writes, in my version, you can have my teddy bear, which was
Yeah.
very strange to me because Balzac died before teddy bears were invented as a thing. Teddy bears in America, okay, there have always been toy animals of all sorts. People have always had
But
them.
he it would have been the case. So right away, teddy bears in
Right.
1920. I don't know which child has teddy bears. I don't think a lot, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And the teddy bear, it was named after Teddy Roosevelt, who was our early 20th century president. And he didn't come along until long after Balzac was dead. And so
Yeah.
it was very strange to me to see a reference to a teddy bear in this. But you explained that that's not what Balzac said at all.
No, it was a quote from a play, but you know, you just think when I see your mistake, I just think, what's the brain of the translator here? Because
Right.
I know Google is not the solution for everything, but I just Googled script, which was the name of the author he was
Uh-huh.
mentioning, and there on Google, and I have the play where it comes from, and I have the exact line where it comes from, where it came
Yeah.
from, which was just a popular line at the time, like you have these days from films that people repeat, and
Mhm.
you really need to have the context of the story to understand the joke. And the
Yeah,
translator didn't have it. He didn't do
right.
any research. That blows my mind that he didn't try to understand it. He just
Yeah.
imagined something from his own mind, and that should work.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a fail. But that aside, I did find that it was a really fun read because Balzac does a really good job of describing people's living spaces and describing what they're
Yeah,
wearing. And he uses these descriptions of these things they own to describe the people themselves.
yeah,
Like if you see something that's kind of shabby, then that tells you about the person and whether they're trying to live at a higher level than they can afford, or if they're putting on a show. And for that, you kind of have to have a little bit of background in the time. And so if someone is coming
yeah,
to this and it's their first 19, this is a really good book. If you're coming to it for the first time, it might not be the best choice for your first 19th century book, period.
yeah.
Because you kind of have to have a background in the time and place. But after you've had a little bit of background in what a typical home looks like and what people would typically be wearing, so that you can see how Balzac plays with that, then it's absolutely a great book to read. To read.
Yeah, and he gives a lot of information too. He's so
Yeah.
precise. I mean, you can't compare it with Dickens or Walter Scott or none of them because he
Uh-huh.
gives you the name of the shop owners, which still
Uh-huh.
exist. I mean, you can check, and yes, the shop was located in that part of Paris.
Uh-huh.
And that's why historians adore him. They use his books all the time just to, here we were maybe going to talk about the convict language. And he
Yeah.
really captures everything precisely, like the name of this. You are into corsets, and you understood
Uh-huh.
exactly the sort of corset he was
Uh-huh.
mentioning, but details of clothes, and in all his books you have that. You have really precision. Even he talks about the pants of one of the male character, I think, during one of the justice interrogatory when they are, asking the criminals. He mentioned something with the pants which were coming under their shoes, this sort of
Uh-huh.
19th century pants, trousers. So it
Yeah.
was interesting to suddenly when I reread that I noticed this detail
Uh-huh.
of male fashion. Or when he has his hands in his pockets of his trousers too. I thought, wow, that must have been high. I mean, I wasn't the way he was because he has a no, the watch was in the trousers pocket. I think there was a moment
Yeah.
he mentioned that. I
Uh-huh.
thought, yes, it was very high trousers they had.
Yeah. Yeah. The waist was a little higher than the modern waist.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the corset, which I thought was a fun detail because so in my version he calls it a quick service corset because it would have been the one with the split busk, which is much easier to take on and put off than
Yes.
the older style because these are duchesses who are they're sort of trying a little bit to evoke the Ancien Regime,
Yeah.
but whereas the Ancien Regime would have had the older style of corset, they've got the most up-to-date corset because it's the most convenient to take on and put off, and you can read your own interpretations as to why these women who we know they've been having an affair with the poet.
Yeah.
So you can read your own interpretation of why they would find an easy to take on and put off corset to be
Yeah.
convenient.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, and then you mentioned the convict language. So
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
tell
And
us
I
a
didn't
little
see
bit?
all your translations. So you showed
Yeah.
me a few things which were wrong somewhat. I didn't even understand what the translator tried to do here.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was crazy. He could have just explained because, of course, it's a made-up language. So it
Right.
comes from nowhere. It just like it's supposed, and I suppose in America there must have been something similar in England too. No
Yeah.
question. Like, I can imagine that it's a language that if you're not a convict, you're not supposed to understand anything they are saying.
Right.
So
Right. It's sort of secret code.
Yeah, it's a secret code, both with real words which exist, like when they say le pré, which is the meadow. I think you have this translation when going back to the meadow, retourner
Yeah.
au pré, which is the galleys, when you go back
Uh-huh.
to the galleys. They use a
Yeah.
lot of animals' names. Um, Oh, and some made up expressions, completely made up too. And some words which we still have today, but
Uh-huh.
you need to be very careful if you use them today. I
Uh-huh.
mean, if you're a foreigner, you want to play and to speak in a comic language today, you need to be careful because, for example, there is the word aunt, no, tante, aunt. You mentioned that a few times. You
Uh-huh.
had this word, yeah?
Uh-huh.
This word, so is extremely rude today. Like, you can't use it.
Uh-huh.
It's like a red flag.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, it was, well, at the time, it was sort of prisoner's boyfriend that they were using it for. Now
Uh-huh.
it's still in this context, but you don't use it. You just don't use it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So,
Yes.
if you had to pick a favorite character of all of the characters in here, who was your favorite?
Well, Carlos, for sure, 100%.
Carlos.
I like villains in general.
I
In
remember
novels.
that from your video about the executioners.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was there, by the way. I did a video about executioners last year.
Yeah.
Some people were really a bit angry with me with this video. They didn't like it. They didn't
Oh.
like the executioner in general, but they existed. So, and they
Oh.
didn't like my approach of it. But I thought, you know what? Since I've studied the execution and all of that, I've seen the characters mentioned in the book, the Sanson themselves, in so many other stories. Like they are so part of the cultural background and history, well, of France in that case and of Europe. So
Mhm.
not knowing any of that, you have a big lack in your knowledge really of the time. So
Well, it's an important part of history to
yes,
know
and it's
about.
everywhere. And Balzac, he used them a lot. He mentioned Les Sanson many times, so he appears again. And he say wrong things, by the way, because Balzac was supposed to write the first fake memoirs of the Sanson,
Uh-huh.
and he didn't have all the information. So he met one of them, and in the book here, he talks a little about them, and he completely he say wrong things. He didn't check the archives or anything, so he just put out dates which are completely wrong.
I loved the scene where Carlos sees the executioner, and of course he knows who this is, but
Yes.
because he doesn't want the guards to think he's an ex-prisoner and has experience, he approaches the executioner with, "Ah, you are the chaplain, of course."
Yes. Oh, that's so funny. All Carlos' dialogues are absolutely to die for me because he constantly plays irony with things, pretending to be so innocent. I love when he still pretends to be a priest in front of all the justice people in front of him who try to understand who he is. And the sentence he speaks very well because he had a good education. So he's a criminal, but with a very good background. So he can talk in a very elegant way in front of these people. And it's just hilarious when you know he's a real criminal. He has done horrible things. And
Right, right.
what is your favorite character?
I think I would go with Esther because
Okay.
she's so sweet and she's well-meaning in her way. She wants to live a better life. And she's a bit tragic, of course. And I felt sorry for her. But I actually had a soft spot for a very minor character, poor Clotilda.
Oh, I was thinking maybe you would. Yeah, this book,
Yeah,
Clotilde.
poor Clotilda, who is this girl who is very plain, kind of homely, very scrawny, and everyone is just trying to marry her off. And I kind of I felt for her, that poor girl, that poor girl who everyone's making fun of because she's so scrawny and but I liked her. And then in terms of just pure humor, there was the foolish banker, Nusingen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I liked his scenes. I didn't like him, but I liked
No.
his dialogue because it was hilarious. There's a scene
Yeah.
where I love the scene where he's getting dressed to
Yeah.
meet his potential mistress, and his wife is giving him fashion advice.
Yeah, it's hilarious. She say
Yeah.
in French, she says c'est une like it's a grammar fashion mistake you are doing here. Like
Yes.
and you should unbutton this button to do like this. Another character from another novel, he always has his shirt not completely buttoned so that it's just elegant enough. And yeah, this is hilarious. This is
Yeah, it was
hilarious.
hilarious because it's the wife giving fashion advice for her husband to meet a girl he's trying to seduce, which you
Yeah.
would never see that in an American novel.
No, there are so many. I think you could say, what are the scenes which surprised you the most for that? As an American reader reading a lot of American or English novels of the time,
Uh-huh.
what were the scenes which surprised you the most? So you would think, oh, that's a little unusual.
Well, there was definitely that one. There
Yeah.
was definitely that one. What else? Oh, so many. Um, I think a lot of the just it was the prison system was a very French style prison system, and ours is a little different. And the duchesses. I
Yeah.
think that the duchesses and their interactions were also very different from what we would see here because we don't have that history of aristocracy. And so even though we have people, we have an upper crust, it's different. It's different. And so seeing the duchesses interact with each other and competing and yet at the same time trying to protect each other was a very
Yeah.
interesting dynamic. And
Yeah.
that's, again, something you wouldn't necessarily see in an American novel. In American stories, people are either enemies or they're allies. There's not a lot of situations where they're both. And so that was very intriguing to me to see uh, these enemy friends.
Yeah, and the fact that they are had the same man in their life, blah blah. They
Yes.
all have a husband, but who
Uh,
cares?
yeah.
I mean, and the other one, she had her husband helping her because she's sad because of her lover and all that. I
Right.
mean, it's just crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, how she was, going insane after her lover kills
Yeah.
himself, but her husband is so worried about her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And what was your favorite scene? If you had one scene you would pick up in that case, what would it be in the novel that you think is really like such a intense scene or special scene or one or two?
well, I think just in terms of being so funny, it would be the one where the banker is getting dressed because
Okay.
that to me was just hilarious.
Yeah.
But in terms of a really heart palpitating scene, oh, let me think. I think some of the letters, some of the suicide notes,
Mm,
those were the ones that really got me. Those were the ones that were very emotional.
yeah. I
Yeah.
would agree with you with these two ones. And I love, for me, one of the scene I adore, which I think is really a good vision of the book. It's when Carlos and Perad, I like didn't mention Perad, the character, the former spy and former police
Yeah.
officer, who is just a caricature of characters we have seen so many times in series, in TV shows, in all of that, like the alcoholic who has no job. He just like he's a complete failure, but he's super useful too. So,
Yeah.
and
Who do you think this would most appeal to in terms of who should read this and why should they read it?
well, anybody for sure who is into sort of criminal thing and who
Mhm.
read this sort of literature, you have to read this one because it's officially the first one who really puts all these characters together in the same story.
Yeah.
If you like history, you really have
Uh-huh.
to because it gives you a vision of this time you will not easily find in other writers of the time at all.
Mhm.
It's so unique for so many reasons, this book,
Mhm.
really. I think it's just Balzac's masterpiece, really. It took almost 10 years to write it. He wrote it in several chunks, so not all at once.
Uh-huh.
The characters are brilliant. And as I say, it sounds a little familiar when you read it because you have the former spy
Mhm. Uh,
characters we have seen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Carlos, who looks also like many other criminals we have seen, who is inspired by two real convicts which existed actually. So none of this is really invented. It's all
Uh-huh.
inspired by characters who existed, and the convict he was inspired by had his memoirs just published before actually. So he read the memoirs and he took a lot of um, elements of his life into the book.
Yeah. And yeah, I think anyone who's interested in history and has a little bit of background in the history, because I think that if this is the first 19th century book you've read, it's kind of jumping in the deep end. But if you know a little bit about the 19th century first, it's definitely an awesome read. And I,
What you would think is the best book for people who have never read even classic literature
uh
of the 19th? What would be the first one that you would recommend for them?
well, funny you should ask that. So, one of my very favorites is Poor Miss Finch by Wilkie
Okay.
Collins.
Okay.
Wilkie Collins is really good for getting a background into the 19th century because he has a very clear presentation of all these scenes and he writes legal thrillers. And so,
Okay.
as a lawyer, he is very meticulous and very analytical about what signifies what. And so, if you can read Wilkie Collins first and then read Balzac, I think that's a good order of operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also if you like this, it's 700 pages. I think yours is 500. I'm not sure exactly, or
Yeah,
six.
590, I think.
It's one of his biggest book. He has a lot
Yeah.
of smaller ones actually. It's one of his. He
Yeah.
doesn't usually typically write very thick books like that. So
hmm
it's
Yeah.
definitely for people. But it's a fast-paced book. Like you
Yeah.
have descriptions,
Yeah.
but you want to know what's going to happen. It makes you really
Yeah.
want to know the behind the scenes of each character. I mean, as you also mentioned, he is going to make some characters disappear. You don't expect them to disappear so fast.
Right.
I mean, it's very bold the way he managed the story and
Yeah.
surprise the reader all the time,
Yeah.
constantly.
Even my cat is recommending it.
Yeah.
Even she is saying that this is a good book that everyone should read.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially also, I wanted to mention that Balzac is the least read French author from the 19th century in America for
Mhm,
many reasons. And
mhm.
this surprised me so much because it's one of the very best. And
Uh,
if you remove him, you don't have all the other ones. So
uh-huh.
it's really important. And I did just an exercise on Amazon to see who are who had the best reviews and the most reviews among these classics in
Uh-huh.
France, in America, on that American Amazon. And the one, of course, what would you imagine is the one who has the most reviews and likes and blah blah blah.
I would think maybe Dumas.
Yeah, right. You
Yeah.
did well.
Uh-huh.
And the second one?
La Close, Dangerous
No,
Liaison.
no,
No?
no. Jules Verne.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Of
Yeah, Alexandre
course.
Dumas, which was the case when they were published at once. So that's the success they have right now. They had this massive success instantly. So it's
Uh-huh.
interesting. It stayed stable. And Jules Verne is the most translated author with Agatha Christie in the world forever of all
Mm.
time, you know. So it's
hmm
interesting to know that. And the other ones, it blows my mind because I was thinking, Émile Zola. Émile
Uh-huh.
Zola, he has more
Yeah.
likes, more reviews than Balzac. You say, what? How is it even possible?
Well, I think that Zola is popular because of his J'accuse. That essay was
Mm.
so important in history. In French history, yes, but in world history too. That essay is very famous. And we read that in my French class. We read that in my history class. We read that in, I don't know how many times I read that
That's
essay
so interesting. Okay.
because it's just so significant to history and it had so much of an impact on the world. And so I think that's the door through which a lot of people get into Zola.
Probably because the novel which is the most read is Thérèse Raquin. I've never read it. I don't know anybody around me who has read it. I just thought
Mhm.
it's so interesting that the one which are popular over there are absolutely not the one which would. If you say to a French person, what is Zola's most famous book, they would say Germinal or L'Assommoir. There's these two ones that would come right away. So that was really fun. And even Stendhal, he has more than Balzac. So I was thinking, no way, he's the last one of all of them. Like you have Flaubert, Stendhal, really, nobody read them. Only at school you read Stendhal.
Mhm.
But Balzac is the last one. He has written 95 novels and short stories. He's put all his life into his books. And now he's like, so far. I mean, adults don't read him really, only students, and it's really sad. You should
Yeah.
go back to him.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. I think that he's part of the what we call the canon. The canon is the set of books that everyone should read. And he was very influential, I think. And
Yes, of course. Yeah, he's before Dickens. He's 10 years
Mhm.
earlier. So
Yeah,
I know, yes, and he was reading the other one, so he was very inspired by Walter Scott at the beginning. So he did a lot
yeah,
of imitation of Walter Scott until he found his own style. But he was a big influence for all the other writers who, well, Zola and many, many others who
yeah.
followed,
So
especially with the series thing, with the interconnecting everything together.
so I think everyone should add it to their bucket list.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's such a great read. You will
Yeah,
not be disappointed.
absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
wonderful. Yeah,
If you want to time travel and you want to see, you want to travel through time and through all these different levels of society, this is a really great one. So
yeah,
we highly
absolutely.
recommend it.
Yeah.
And happy reading to everybody.
Happy reading.